Hello and welcome to the 47th Planet Destiny podcast. We have normal crew here and then a returning guest, but someone who has listened to every single Planet Destiny podcast because he's the one who has to upload them. Hello, Ryan.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Hey. Hello.
I wanted to offer a different perspective. Yeah, I don't usually get to come on here, and I know a lot of people have been saying that you all represent maybe a minority, and I think I personally represent a majority. So I wanted to tell you all a little bit more about myself and what I do at PlanetDestiny, since I don't really talk about that a lot, and since I'm not in videos, you guys don't really know who I am. And I don't mind because I kind of like staying in the back and just doing my own thing. But so I edit videos, manage the articles, and when everything kind of goes out, I publish everything, in other words. And then I'm behind the social media accounts as well. I don't get to play a lot, but I've been playing the game for a long time. I apologize. I've got a cold, so my nose is a little stuffy.
Ryan, there's a big question that I want you to answer right off the bat, just because that's the position that you'll be taking for the most part of the podcast. How much do you actually play Destiny? Because from my perspective, you don't have a lot of time to, because you're usually doing everything for Planet Destiny.
I think I fall in line with a lot more people. So this type of player like me who doesn't play a lot but knows a ton about the game and who's been playing since the alpha or whatever. And then there's players like you who also know a lot, but you also have tons of hours into the game, and maybe you have
filthy.
I feel like we should add a little bit of context to this conversation, why we're talking about 1% and hours played. Yeah. This week, the challenge mode, the War Priest challenge mode, came out for the King's Fall raid, and overwhelmingly, I think that the YouTube and Twitch community were pretty disappointed with it. And we all made videos about it. We all talked about it in public. And I think we were met with a pretty strong resistance by the people who have jobs that don't include 99% making videos of Destiny or playing Destiny. So in the comments, we saw a lot of comments that said, hey, you know, everything doesn't have to be the most difficult. Everything doesn't have to be made for the top 1%, the players who have the most time played, the players who are playing every day. Everything doesn't have to be custom designed for this. I'm happy that I'm able to get 320 gear out of this. And there's a real blowback. I think everybody on this call probably felt it.
Oh, yeah. I had multiple Reddit threads where I'm pretty much Dado and I were the top subjects of controversy.
There was a lot of misconceptions, though. Also, I think the first video that Patrick put out wasn't very direct and clear about what his message was. I don't know, maybe you didn't have enough sleep or what, but it wasn't very concise like the second
that
video.
Sound like me at all.
It happens.
I'm opposed to the concept of, because one plays the game a lot, they can't have the perspective or look at things from another point of view. That's also a misnomer in itself, because you're making the assumption because I play a lot that I don't support the 99%'s view on how this position, this issue should be played out. It's actually quite the opposite, that I'm actually very much in support of it. So I think, without being in the same vein of not putting labels on people, it's also not doing it the other way and making the conversation more divisive.
I think the confusion is that a lot of people are thinking that we want to take this stuff away from them or make it a lot harder, or just do things in such a way where they can't obtain it anymore. And that's not what I want. I just want to have something for both people. Like challenge modes as they are right now, however difficult they end up being, because we haven't seen them all. I mean, that's fine or whatever, and it's perfect for loot. I think it's great for that, but I think there maybe should be a even more challenging mode that adds more variety. It doesn't have to be harder necessarily. I just think it should feel different.
The one thing that I really like about challenge modes is that it has given players a way to get max level loot. This is the only time that has come into the game. Seriously, like you get this, boom, max level loot. What I like about this is it has made a specific task in the game will reward you with that loot, as opposed to doing that same encounter a different way will reward you with lesser tier loot. I like that idea. I honestly wish that was applied to every fight in the raid at all times. And maybe that specific challenge was a little bit more difficult to signify having the guaranteed loot that would be
I think that's the
from
biggest mistake, is that they tied 320 loot to it. I think there
I
wouldn't
can
be as big a
pretty
problem
much-
if they had tied a shader or
if
sparrow
there was-
or an emblem to it. If you had gotten just a trophy, like just a trophy that said, hey, look at me, I'm all proud of myself because I did super hard challenge mode, there'd still be a reason for people who really wanted it to do it. But you wouldn't feel forced to. Then they could amp up the challenge. They could amp it up super high, because you'd still get the people who really wanted that little token that says I completed challenge mode. You could really put that like out of reach of most players, but it wouldn't be that big a deal that you couldn't get it, right? You could if you tried hard enough, or if you had a lot of time to throw at it. But putting that 320 guaranteed loot there means that people are going to be really salty if they can't get it, because the raid does not reward people.
And just to be clear, we'd want that in addition to what's currently available, not, replacing what's there. So
here's the thing, though. I don't think that is actually the reason, the core root of all the problems that the community is having about this right now. I think the problem at its essence is that we don't know what's coming in Destiny. And so any kind of actual release gets immediately criticized. I mean, just thrown out and stoned in the street because this is not another DLC. And that is the problem with the environment right now. It's a powder keg of volatile energy of what is happening with Destiny. Is this thing dead? Is it going forward? And what the hell? This challenge mode is not what I want in December. So that is the reason. I think even if it was just an award or a new emblem or a shader, we would still be having this reaction and weird discussions about whether or not we should be going towards the 99% or the 1% or whatever, if you want to label them like that. It's because Bungie hasn't given us information about what's coming in the future. And that's why we're having these weird discussions about something that is technically end game content for the Taken King until we move on to the next phase of Destiny.
Something that's tied to the end game content that came out 3 months after the release.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, I mean, for me, the challenge modes, having them tied to 320 light gear, I think it is weird that they're doing that, but at the same time, this is them saying, here's your chance now to max out your character before we then give you the carrot of the next DLC that says, hey, here's where it's coming. It's just they are not giving us the right communication lines right now.
Well,
and I think Bungie could do a lot better job.
I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where they're going to look at the weekly update today. I mean, they've said as much as they're going to say before PlayStation Experience, before they undoubtedly reveal something. Until they're ready to show something, they're just never going to. It sucks that they don't give a little more information about what's upcoming, but until they're ready to do that.
Well, and I think that's what Tefty's talking about, Ryan, is that it's unfortunate that they can control some of these conversations. And they're not applying that logic to it. I mean, when you're in charge of the content, and I think the community as well, and you can predict certain behaviors. If we've been starved for content releases, and your timing is to put out challenge mode right before PSX, and I just think that some of this stuff could have been predicted, and you're by doing this, whether I believe inadvertently, obviously, but by doing it in this way and the way that it's been come out, it's become divisive. And as a community, the stronger we are together during when there's no DLCs, the better.
With all the rumors that have been going around with the Destiny 2 and the DLC free, or is it not free, or what's going on, there's been so much of that. I do agree that it would have been smart for Bungie to have been real clear, but I think it's just a matter of time. A few more days, we're gonna know something.
Yeah, we knew for sure that Dark Below was going to happen, then House of Wolves at some point in the future. That, I think that is a huge problem right now. The community feels like the community feels like we have to wait till September of next year, largely because
I think this issue is complex in that
I don't know if I'm buying into this. I don't think that the outrage of the community which is mainly aimed at the 1%ers, the YouTubers and the Twitch streamers, is due to not knowing what the next DLC is. I think it's very much tied to seeing what this challenge mode was and seeing the reaction.
Well, it's both. I mean, it's both. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not even just these two things. It's more than that. It's more than we haven't even touched on yet.
It's brought out voices of dissent on two different sides that have kind of polarized it. And that's what I'm saying, Briar, is that at its heart, whatever's happened here, it's become an issue where it's us against them. And I think that anytime you phrase the conversation in that way, you lose focus on what the cool things that could be happening in the community. That's all.
Yeah. See, this is the primary confusion right here. We as quote unquote the 1%, which I'm not the 1%, by the way. We don't want really it to be insanely challenging where only a few people can beat it, and I don't think you guys want that. I don't want that.
I think Dado's gone radio silent for a while.
Maybe he wants that. I'm not sure, but
and also the fact is, us as YouTubers and streamers have a role to play, and that role is that we're kind of ambassadors in how the game gets played at an extensive level. And I get that we get criticized for it because we have the ability to play it that much, but also we have to form opinions. And so when there isn't a technical future that we're aware of, then YouTubers and streamers have to make choices over those opinions. So we have to say, like, well, are we supposed to play the challenge modes for December? And that's it?
I think a lot of the commenters have confused our thoughts to think that we want it to be impossible to beat, and I don't. We just want it to be different. Some kind of challenge for the people who want it, and then the loot, that opportunity for loot that a ton of people want. Because I know that's what a lot of people said that's all they care about. They want it to be easy and quick. They want to go in, get the loot, guaranteed 320s or whatever, and get out. They don't want it to be hard at all.
This is supposed to be a different mode, and maybe Bungie intended us to do the fight a different way than the community ended up kind of globally doing it, which is why this is so different. Like, maybe they intended us to only have one aura holder, I'm guessing.
Even if that was the case, let's say the standard strategy was to do, one aura holder. Let's say that's what everyone did. That was just the best strategy. That's like the only thing they changed pretty much. Besides, he fires a little faster, but it's just, that's it. They could have done so much more. They could have even added nightfall modifiers even. Just easy stuff to make it seem a little bit different.
Well, I think that by designing it the way that they've designed it, they've handcuffed themselves into creating challenges that are not that engaging, creative. They've limited their options.
A great comment was like to enable a challenge, you have to hit something. Like, maybe not a separate playlist. Maybe it's in the same playlist as the raid, like it is now. But maybe you have to, like in the War Priest, you would have to shoot something special, like some kind of latch in the ceiling that would unlock like the challenge mode. So you have to kind of manually start it.
Very, very similar to how World of Warcraft hard mode / challenge modes came about. In vanilla World of Warcraft, there was the bug trio on Courage 40, and it was like kind of the first instance of a fight where if you completed it the harder way, because each of the bugs had different characteristics, and one of them was a real bastard, the other one was kind of like meh, the other one was the obvious, you can leave this one up until the very last because he doesn't really do anything. Well, if you did it where the easiest one was killed first, hardest one was killed last, awesome, you got better loot. The current system could benefit from that modification to it. Maybe they don't want to do another playlist for it. Maybe they just want to keep it in like these two instances of normal and hard mode. But then if they had that type of system that you were talking about there, Ryan, in there, it would allow for more engaging fights at the same time.
Yeah. And I don't expect them to change what they've already made, because obviously,
no.
They didn't.
They shouldn't.
They didn't maybe plan for these kind of things, but going forward, challenge modes are obviously going to be in future raids and all that kind of stuff. So going forward, I think there's lots of room for improvement.
We didn't know what we had done right to do the challenge. This kind of implies there needs to be some sort of visual notification in the fight that you are doing it, that you have failed it, that you have completed it, that you're currently going good.
Some might argue that half the challenge is monitoring that yourself and monitoring what you did right, what you did, that self-awareness and team awareness and team communication. I mean, some would say that that kind of stuff is critical if you want to know what's going on. Okay, so maybe that's half the challenge. I don't know.
No, I think that can be that might have some merit, but the problem is there is no indication of that. If you were to complete the fight and you didn't get loot, you would have to go, okay, why didn't we complete the challenge?
Well, the weird thing at this time was just that the challenge mode was the way we do it normally. Unless you were to inspect the fire rate of the War Priest, or if you happen to use the same person.
Well, it's how you did it normally, and it's how a lot of you guys did it normally. But I saw a ton of comments that said they never tried it like that, or they didn't find it as effective. I mean, and not that I'm saying it's a huge change. I'm just saying that I think we should more focus on how little change instead of just that particular, change that you might already did before. That particular change was fine, but there should have been more stuff. There should have been stuff to make it I don't know what he could have exactly, but it just has to be different. But like we were talking about, the way it's set up, it's just you can't roadblock people for 320 loot. That there'd be riots in the street.
Well, if 3 people would have been teleported to either Mars or Venus, then we would have been good to
go. I guess that's my frustration, is that we had examples of for them to learn this lesson as early as Atheon. Teleport randomly on hard and don't teleport randomly on normal. There you go. And I think the community was upset about the teleportation thing, and that wasn't how the fight was intended, and so then they changed it, and that was acknowledging of an adjustment on how they wanted to do the Atheon fight. But here's an example where they could have learned from that lesson and applied it.
Having it just built into the raid too, I think, is ultimately a mistake. I think there should be a separate, there should be a normal, a hard, and a challenge mode selection when you choose the raid. That way they can be much more creative with what they do to it.
A button inside, I think that's a more elegant solution than just kind of ham-fisting other playlists for people to have to... Because if that's there, if another playlist thing is sitting there, that could work both for good and bad. The good thing is that some players will see that and want to strive to beat it. Other players will see that and be like, I can never complete this. Where if it's just a kind of nondescript button in the fight, we're just going to call it that from now on, to press the button, and if that's in the fight, I think that's more elegant. You can easily pass over that.
Oh, and imagine the trolling opportunities too. If your raid team isn't planning on doing the challenge mode, but then one of your teammates
that happens
runs over there and hits the button, and then be like, "What? How did it get harder all of a sudden?" And you're like, "I don't know. Who hit the button?" And there's that guy that you always blame for that stuff, and he's like, "No, it wasn't me." The trolling opportunities would be endless. Now, I guess ultimately, I personally don't like how it. The expectations of it from at least me was that it would be challenging to me. And I think that the language that they used to explain challenge mode could have ended a lot of these conversations. Defining maybe challenge wasn't the right word to use.
Yeah, we talked about this in our article, how the branding of it kind of could be a little different. I mean, if they focused more on the loot aspect of it, like if they said, we hear your frustrations about RNG, and challenge mode will address loot, and you're going to be able to get tons of stuff. You're going to be able to stock up and get your light level up. I mean, if they kind of toss that out there and didn't really focus on the hard aspect of it, but more of the loot aspect early on, I think they could have maybe avoided some of these misconceptions about challenge and how hard it might actually was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
What is challenging to one is not necessarily challenging to another. I think something simple as we've seen all the raid teams going through, and they've got 1,000 different ways of doing the raid. Well, can you do it Bungie's way? something like that, where they're asking us to do it their way.
I feel like all they have to do, in the future, I don't think they can fix it at this point, right? It's too late. It's done. We're gonna see Golgoroth. We're gonna see the sisters. We're gonna see these.
It's just gonna be orcs. It's
just gonna be orcs.
Yeah, there's not.
So we're gonna see these things happen. They're already designed. They're on their way. But for the next raid, what I'd really like to see, if they stick with this like light and gear double RNG system, I'd like hard mode to drop better gear, like better higher light level gear, and then I'd like to see the challenge modes be super hard, but drop simply like token stuff, like shaders or cosmetic stuff, so that you get a reward for doing it, but it's not something that you feel compelled to do. Otherwise, I can't compete. I can't keep up because challenge mode is too hard. I think that would.
Yeah, I mean, they have a perfect opportunity for emotes and sparrows. Like, they could have easily given some awesome emotes for that, and that would have been fantastic.
For the next raid, they need to restructure it where normal mode loot is, how it is now. Hard mode loot is how challenge mode works now, and challenge mode loot is a little harder, but it's cosmetic rewards and cool, maybe cosmetic armor instead of stuff that increases your light level. That would work really well because it's the best of everything.
So should we talk about the weekly update today?
I was really looking forward to it because last week they said there's going to be a lot of really good information. Basically, that's what they
tomorrow
said. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but whatever. I was looking forward to lots of cool info coming. It turns out it's coming tomorrow. It's coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, it starts. The content release starts tomorrow.
And if you're listening to this on Friday, which you probably are, then we're talking about today because we record this on Thursday, so it's going to be up by the time you're listening.
They go back to talking about the exotics that are the year one exotics that are going to be repurposed. Do you think that they're going to be repurposed and put back in there, meaning that their perks are going to change and be adjusted to year two? Are they going to come back different?
I think some
to
of
us
them will.
in year two, or are they going to come back the same thing now with a higher
Dragon's Breath? I'm sure.
It's going to be a mixed bag. It's going to be a mixed bag. The armor will get a new perks. I can see Dragon's Breath getting it. I can honestly, I think Mido will be untouched. Mido multi-tool will be untouched. It's in a really good place. I mean, look, there were already other weapons that were brought into year two that weren't touched. Red Death, Last Word, Truth.
It's interesting to speculate about it, like what kind of changes would come out. And I know that the armamentarium's change of having 3 grenades instead of 2 is going to be welcomed.
Yes, by everybody, I think, across the board.
Across the board. Because everyone will switch to Titans at that point.
Wait, everybody's not using Titans right now?
Absolutely kidding. I'm absolutely kidding.
Delete your Warlock.
We should 100% clarify that Pope was using something called sarcasm there. It's lost on a lot of people.
I would love for the arachnid to have. Is it the hunter helmet?
Yeah.
I love its aesthetics. It would have been great to see it be useful.
Yeah, that gave you extended range on your golden gun, right?
Yeah, it's something very
scope in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to see more of the exotic armor pieces do something like the Helm of Inmost Light. It allows you to select another item on your perk tree.
Yeah, double up perks is great.
I think that that should be a characteristics of all of the exotic pieces. And to make them relevant into a certain, if you maximize a certain play style, that piece of armor would be ideal for it. But I'd like to see more purpose-driven exotics that allow us to create these specialty classes. So,
and speaking of Titans, we have some news in the weekly update. Obviously, Sunbreakers are getting adjusted in 2.1 coming up next week.
Oh yeah,
but Strikers,
call it what it is, a nerf.
Sure, their super is not going to get extended.
I don't know what they're going to do. I don't.
I think that would be the right choice, Tefty, but I don't think that's what they'll go with.
Mandatory?
Yeah, adjusted. Why are you using the word adjusted?
But anyway, what I was saying was Strikers and Defenders are actually going to get updated. Not with the patch coming up, but later.
No, I thought that's coming in December. It's coming in December.
They're all going to get an adjustment in December. My opinion is that the Titans needed a little bit of redemption. They had classes that were pretty inert, and
Good. They have.
And so by nerfing the Sunbreakers, I was hoping that they would go and take a look at the other classes of the Defender and Striker and maybe bring them more into relevance, because I can tell you that I use my Defender for PvE and my Striker almost never gets touched now.
Yeah, in PvE, Titans were king. You always wanted, you felt that your raid felt incomplete without a Bubble Bro laying down some, fun for the group. But I think most changes generally are kind of spurred from PvP, unfortunately.
I mean, it's a real shame because honestly, using a Sunbreaker in PvE is great, and I think it performs exceptional in PvE. And unfortunately, it performs exceptional in PvP to the point where it becomes criticized and questioned. So they got to do it and start making changes separately from those two modes. They just have to at some point.
We've been harping on that for a year now, right, Tefty? It's just once they start, and it seems like they've been doing it slowly between different patches here and there, where they eventually get themselves up against a wall and realize, well, we can't have shotguns act the same in PvP and PvE, so this is going to be the exception to our rule. Your character is going to act a little bit differently now in PvP versus PvE. Now we're not going to do it with shotguns, and we're not going to do it with this and this. And slowly they're adding more and more stuff to that list, when I feel like they're going to get to a critical point where they just have to say, okay, look, there has to be different rule sets between the two so that we can make PvE fun and we can make PvP fun.
They got to. I think they're easing into it also, and because I know that they're aware of how reactive we are as a community. Yeah, because I mean, remember when you could kill somebody in PvP and pick up their heavy ammo?
Yeah,
remember that?
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and they're easing us into less special ammo with Inferno mode. So I'm personally, for me, I hope that transitions over to regular PvP modes where you don't start with special ammo at all. I think the game would play a lot better. And I think they need to change the way the intellect works with your supers when it comes to PvP too, but that's a different discussion.
Yeah. No, I completely agree that they're going to get to a point where they have to start treating them differently, and we're going to see that happening in hopefully sooner than later, because you're going to get people have talking about Destiny 2, and you're going to get your same classes back again, maybe. And then maybe with, if it's going to be continuing of the storyline, how are they going to do away with the hunter, how are they going to do away with the different classes? They're going to have to bring them back, and then they're going to have to introduce more, right? So something has got to be changing. How are they going to sell Destiny 2? It's not just going to be new areas. They have to give us another subclass or two. And so how are you going to balance all of those? And I think that the only way they're going to put themselves in a spot where there's so many variables to manage that how are they going to be able to do that?
I don't know how they can do that. I think they just got to pull a reset, right? On Destiny 2, I think each character will have 2 or 3 brand new subclasses, and the old ones will get left behind. I don't see how they can have like 4 or 5 or 6 different subclasses.
I don't think so.
God, it would be unmanageable.
I don't think there's going to be 4 or 5 or 6. I think there's going to be the 3 that they've got.
You don't think they're going to add
anything?
I don't think they're going to add any more.
Maybe 1, but I highly doubt that. I don't foresee that. I don't. They have enough time. They can't even balance the 3 that they've got.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's been a year, and they're still making changes.
In order for them to market a new game and to put it out there and get people to buy and
they could market a new game without the subclass.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I think that they're going to need to put something out there that's going to bring people back.
And they could add 10 new skills per subclass. I mean, they could update the current ones in so many ways, but a completely new one, I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, I would love it. I think it would be cool to have different options.
I want to see more content like that. I want to have more options for my characters to explore and challenge the world. That's fun and exciting for me. That sounds like Destiny 2. Mm-hmm. So for me to get there, for them to be able to do it, I feel like they need to do all this, right?
Yeah, they got to drop consoles first.
They have to what?
Drop the old gen?
Yeah, they'll drop them. They'll drop them for Destiny 2. I'm almost positive of that.
Yeah.
All right, so picture this, right? You're watching TV, you see a Destiny 2 commercial come on, and you see like new content, like the guy's running through, let's say, Pluto, and he's fighting the monsters and like doing cool stuff, and then all of a sudden he pulls out this brand new super you've never seen before. You're like, oh my god, that was so epic! Or he just does a Titan Smash. Like, which one sells Destiny better? I think it's the brand new super that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And it's so commercial viable. Like, it's so easy to show in a commercial that it's almost...
I guess my mind immediately goes, oh, God, how is that going to be balanced?
But they could also...
Well, that's my point.
So they could also design new subclasses with balance in mind with 2 years of data, right? Or, well, probably a year of data.
Exactly.
I'm positive they're working on Destiny 2 as we speak. But, like, with all the stuff they know, they can then, take that knowledge and use it to begin to build subclasses from scratch. And maybe we keep the golden gun and maybe we keep the Titan Smash, but all the perks around them are completely different and they look different and they act a little bit different. Or maybe they're just brand new. Maybe, we get a spear for the Titan or something like that. I don't know.
They'll either update the stuff that we currently have a little bit, or maybe we'll get one new subclass per.
What do you guys expect to see in Destiny 2? Do you expect to see, 3 brand new zones or 4 brand new zones, like full areas to explore, like Earth, like Venus, like Mars, like the Moon? Do you expect to see, that level of new content? Or are you expecting this to be more of a Taken King style or level of content? I'm expecting it to be a full release,
it will be
a full release new game.
Well, I think that personally, I feel like we're going to maybe get one new location.
It doesn't have to be a new planet,
but we're going to get new patrol zones in the current locations. So, like another patrol zone on what's the map on that one of the Earth maps?
Widow's Court.
Widow's Court. So maybe we're
a European dead zone.
Yeah, maybe that's a new patrol area. Maybe we see we go to different places in these games, right?
In the levels.
Zone. Maybe these new locations that we see during the campaign, but are not able to go there patrol wise.
Yeah, I would like to see at least 4 new patrols, like 4 full-size patrols. I don't, European Dead Zone, Chicago, another part of the Moon, that's okay, but they got to be, they got to be full-size or bigger. I think bigger would be better.
I'd love for them to connect maybe in some way so that you can start your patrol of Earth in the Cosmodrome and make your way to
it's a long,
European Dead Zone.
The long Sparrow ride.
Patrol. You're gonna need a faster Sparrow.
That's asking too much. All right, maybe we can get mounts that help us go across these big crevasses.
Like a sparrow.
Oh, okay.
I would like to see in Destiny 2 like some kind of mini game in those loading screens.
I don't think that'll ever happen. Thank you very much, awesome. Namco, you bastard.
Namco's patent is gone.
It
expired last year.
Yep, it just got lifted.
For anybody who doesn't know the story behind this, Namco had a patent of having mini games in loading screens. So this was a big deal in the PlayStation era. The first PlayStation, Namco, I think it was Ridge Racer was where you first saw it, is they had little mini games while the game was loading. So you had something to do while you were waiting for the actual game to load. They patented that, so no other game company has been able to do it. That patent expired in 2015, so now any game company can do it.
Yep.
And they better start.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to actually do something with the ships that we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Customize the ship a little bit. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
So you're getting ready for Trials of Osiris, right? And whoever wins the mini game gets attack and defend sides. I don't know.
Maybe there's like candies on the screen. You got to tap the screen really fast to get more candies.
And and if you get the more candies you get, your super's
and then
already
you can spend
charged
silver
up.
on special items that will allow you to click even faster, right? Right? Because this is an Activate. This game's done by Activision, something, right?
Take my money.
I don't know. There's so many things they could do. They've had all this time to develop their engine, for Destiny 2. They've had all this time to kind of see what players have liked in Destiny 1 and what players haven't liked. Yeah, I feel like it's their opportunity to do kind of a clean slate. Stop Destiny 1, start Destiny 2. They could do anything. They could go anywhere with it. And I'd like, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful to see 60 frames per second. I don't think we will, but I don't know if their engine is capable of doing it and keeping the graphic fidelity that they have, especially in the big spaces.
I think that's more related to the console hardware itself.
Well, yeah.
Maybe.
It might be because they're supporting last gen at the same time, though.
I mean, you can do 60 frames per second, but like Call of Duty does 60 frames per second on these consoles, but they do it in small spaces. Once you got out into patrol, I could see them having a real hard time keeping 60 frames per second consistently.
But I would easily trade the 60 frames per second for more of a living space. So personally, I'd like to see Destiny 2 change. And I know this isn't their style, but it would be nice to have something like a Skyrim or Fallout feel where these patrol spaces feel more alive.
NPCs out in patrol, maybe.
Yeah. And so you're running across a guy that's got a campfire somewhere, and you can get some loot from it.
Great.
I don't know. You walk up to him and he goes, I saw you pull up on your Sparrow. You think you're a hot shot?
1v1 me, snipers only.
Yeah, there you go.
Rumble me,
bro. Yeah, mini games in Patrol
I think
would
I
be
could
awesome.
contribute more to speculation if
I'd play that.
it was just closer to the date. Because right now I'm still wondering what the hell is even going to go on at PlayStation Experience, which is all of like 36 hours away as of the recording of this podcast.
That is exciting. I'm hoping that we're going to find out what the next DLC is.
Are you ready, Patrick?
Yeah.
We are going to be partying like crazy. I know I'm going to be tweeting out and on sending it to the Planet Destiny for sure. So you guys follow us. Make sure you're following us because we'll be there and sending out information on it as it happens.
As much as possible. I might have to go take a look at what other games are going to be at PlayStation Experience. And I'm hoping, even though it's not on the list, I'm hoping
no, not me.
Horizon Zero Dawn is somewhere there in some form because I kind of want to play that a lot. Or No Man's Sky, one of the two.
There are more people on this podcast than working on No Man's Sky. Fact.
I think that's actually true.
Yeah, it was 3 people that started it and did like a test idea, and now it's like a full team.
Black Ops 3 is going to be there playable.
Playable is a strong
Can
term.
you believe that? Destiny, the Taken King is going to be there.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
You can play.
Yeah, maybe.
Holy crap! Are you going to be able to try out the challenge mode there?
Oh, man.
I'm really wondering if they're going to take this opportunity and announce the next DLC. I think it's time. It's overtime. We need to know.
Whatever they're announcing, I'm hoping it's going to be like soon because around this time last year, like Dark Below had already come out. If I'm like sitting at the press conference or whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, so here's the new DLC. We're announcing 20 new playable zones. We got 5 raids, 16 strikes, only 2 new exotics. Sorry, it took too much time to play it, and it's available now." Later, I just walk out.
I would start
walk
playing
out of the
it.
stadium.
Well, I'd start downloading it. The next day, I'd probably start playing it.
Downloading it for the next week.
Briar will start downloading it, and by the time you fly home and land,
you know what? I'm gonna
it will just be downloading for him.
Set on like standby for just in case I have to download something.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to do some Twitter questions?
Yeah.
Man, there were
we
a
had
ton,
a lot of good
like
ones today.
ton today. I think I picked out about 10 or 15.
Yeah.
And we can keep going if we want. All right, let's start with Matt Tewksbury at Matty Misfit.
Yeah, it was a lot.
What weapon in PvP trials do you roll your eyes or swear at when you see it?
The Conspiracy D.
I can't fault people for using that. I mean, shit, I'm using the sniper rifle that everyone got. I mean, if a shotgun player wants to use the shotgun that was gifted to them, go right on ahead.
No, I don't blame anybody for using what's available in game. I just kind of roll my eyes at it, just like people that cheese the raid. I mean, I'm not going to do it.
Slightly off topic.
I am going to roll
Yeah,
my eyes
did you
at
see the
what
guy
people
solo
do.
the
I
raid?
mean, like, all
What
right,
the
you can do
shit?
Oh, man.
That is
Legitly,
freaking
too.
awesome.
Like, not a lot of
killed
cheese.
everything.
Oh, so cool.
He
Yeah.
killed everything. The only thing that you could say he cheesed was the fact that he didn't have to get the vessel or do the jumping puzzle because he was a warlock and would just self-res.
I mean, it's something that I didn't know if we'd ever see.
I was skeptical, but once I started to see like Slayer Age, they 4-manned it, then they 3-manned it, then they 2-manned it. I'm like, all right, you guys, you'll eventually 1-man it, and I will be happy to see the day when it finally happens.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's a good video. It's a 15-minute video, but it's well worth watching.
Your palms will be sweaty. Your knees will be weak. Mom's spaghetti.
Mom's spaghetti. Never forgetty.
I wasn't going for the mom's spaghetti thing when I started saying that, but okay.
You can't help it. You can't stop it.
I just felt it. I felt 8 Mile coming from you.
Yeah, Raid pulse rifle.
So he was using the Raid pulse rifle, right? And I literally just got that this last raid that I did a couple nights ago. For the first time, I got the Raid pulse rifle. I actually got 2 of them in the same drop, but go figure.
How is that even possible, Pope?
I don't know.
Your Jesus level RNG must have gone awry.
It just kept giving me 320, machine guns and armor pieces. Sorry, Tufty.
I was gonna feel bad for you, but I don't anymore. You ruined that.
No, don't feel bad.
This has been ongoing. We know about Pope's RNG.
No, I think all of my characters are 317 now.
I don't know what you've been doing on those.
No, stop it.
Clearly, somebody's getting sucked off.
I know. I drop some F-bombs from time to time, but thanks for the visual imagery there, Tufty.
You just put it out there.
I figure every now and then you gotta.
I don't know what that's a euphemism for, but Briar, next question.
All right, the last Mohican 9. How can I stock up on legendary marks so I could buy year 2 version exotic? So Patrick, you already answered this one in Twitter,
sometimes
I figured it's worth this knowledge. Is good enough
sometimes
to
I
share
just
with
answer them because I forget that the Twitter question thread is rolling, and I'll just be like, yeah, it's easy enough to answer, so I'll answer it. Trials of Osiris comes around every weekend. Pick up the bounties that give you marks for completing them, and then just hold on to them, and then max out your marks through normal methods like doing the daily missions, the daily PvP, your weekly heroics, running normal strikes, getting a crap ton of legendaries, nuking those, like just whatever ways to get your marks up to max, get them to max, and then hold on to those bounties. That'll be an extra 60 marks if you have them on every character. So that'll be 260 right there. Then add in like 20 more from doing random other crap, and you should be able to buy whatever the hell you want.
Lee Willis at Sergeant Wilco asks, "Are you worried that snipers are going to be the only viable option in the Crucible?"
No.
All right. Way to elaborate. Ben at Ben the Gamer.
Hold up. Should we elaborate real quick on that?
Let's elaborate.
Okay, I'll just say right off. Like, shotguns are getting nerfed, but they're not going to be useless. There's still going to be a shotgun that's going to kill at close range.
I think we're going to see more fusion rifle too.
Yeah, fusion rifles are definitely going to have some time in the Crucible. Agreed. People might get a little salty over them from time to time, getting fusion rifle all the time. But also the snipers themselves, they still take some skill with them. Like, even though the aim assist can be high.
Do you even read Twitter? Do you read Twitter? Snipers are the easiest thing to use in the game. Just simply aiming down scopes will get you a headshot due to aim assistance. I feel the need to say this again just because it keeps coming up every single day, but snipers aren't affected by bullet magnetism. They're not. Your bullets do not bend towards people's heads. The snipers go in a relatively straight path. They might angle 1 or 2 degrees based on lag, but it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, where people seem to think that snipers don't take any skill, because they kind of do. If people are always asking me, hey, I want to improve my sniping, what tips do you have? I'm gonna think that there's some sort of skill cap, or there's some sort of skill that is involved in sniping.
I'm gonna say pick up the Irene with Luck in the Chamber.
You bitch.
At Ben the Gamer asks, someone has finally sold Oryx. Thoughts? You know what? We just talked about that, Ben. I can't believe you just asked that question.
God,
Hero
so
120 Gaming. Do you think challenge mode should be added to the older variants of the raids with current loot? You know what's really fun to do is go into the Abyss portion of Crota's End.
With a hunter, a voidbow hunter, and a Sunbreaker have got to be hilarious in Crota.
I think they should add some cosmetic rewards to older raids.
Yeah, sure, new shaders or something like that. That'd be fun as hell.
Just anything cosmetic to get people back in there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a challenge or hard to get the stuff. Just maybe they don't even have to do anything different. Maybe just add it to the loot pool, just to give people a reason to go back in there. Now, I'd like to see them, add more mechanics and do that stuff, but I don't think that's realistic. But I think it would be easy for them to add loot. It's simple. It can't be hard just to add some loot to an inventory. They don't even have to change the fight. Just give people some incentive to go back in by adding some loot there.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why old WoW content stayed relevant, is because they had the transmog system in there, so people could go run it, get the gear that they liked the look of, and then make their current gear look like that old gear. Like that's.
I think that's something we'll see in Destiny 2, is some type of transmog system or some type of focus on customization where it doesn't necessarily reflect your stats, because I think appearance is a big deal in Destiny, and sometimes it focuses too much on perks maybe, and you don't get to customize yourself.
All right, Frank Zappetta at Rebels199.
I'm sad.
Do you think Trials should switch spawn points every round?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
I think this is
I actually have a bit of a slightly counter opinion to that. I understand why people would want it to switch, because there are some maps that have very favorable spawns. At the same time, if you spawn in on the same side every time, you have more opportunity to work your side of the map into your strategy. Instead of, I feel like if we swapped sides often, all the maps would essentially kind of turn into just meeting at the central point.
Patrick, that's what the first 6 games of the Trials run is.
That is true.
I would agree with you if it was a random map rotation.
Like I said, a mild counter opinion. I can totally see that point as well.
If they were more balanced, it wouldn't be an issue, and I think I would agree with Patrick. It's nice actually trying to get into a rhythm on your spawn. But the way some of the maps are just some of the weeks that I couldn't care less. Some weeks I'm like, it sucks. So I feel like we keep getting the bad spawn.
Keep getting truck side on anomaly, and you're like, hell yeah! I can just wait for them to come to me. We have the better spawn for B. We have the more defensive position.
Eoin, I think, Captain Corefish. What do you think will be announced at PSX? So we talked about this a little bit, but.
Yeah.
What do you guys think will be announced?
Challenger mode.
Yeah.
Challenger mode.
The big announcement
Mode
is
number 2.
the next challenge will be Golgoroth.
I think we're going to see the next DLC. We're going to get a sneak peek at the next DLC, and we'll find out a date.
Because they said the game's going to be playable there, right? And since the game's kind of been out for 3 months, I doubt they're going to be like, hey, you can play the Taken King, and everyone's going to be like, I've already played it. I have stuff, or... Yeah. So I imagine there's going to be some new playable content, like a strike or something.
What if they were like, hey, we got the winter holiday expansion.
Santa Claus is coming to the tower.
Christmas masks.
The tower is going to have
like a Santa Claus, and you're going to have hot chocolate that's going to give you more glimmer when you kill things.
No, they wouldn't. No.
Yeah. I think this. I hope this is going to be an event, but I also hope that's not what's coming at PlayStation Experience.
All right, Tyler Furfuro asks, how do you guys feel about a possible Cabal raid as well as bosses for it? I want to take this one first because I have this vision in my head of having, instead of a raid where we go in and just like start killing things, being chased by the Cabal. Like maybe like land tanks, and we're getting chased through a canyon and we're riding, all 6 of us are riding our sparrows trying to get away from this thing, and like just having this like epic chase for a raid instead of us going in to kill something. I think that would be a really fun way to do a raid.
Almost like a tower defense type of thing. Like you go to this checkpoint, you have to hold that area until it gets a certain point, and then you have to retreat.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like that'd be really fun.
That would be awesome.
I got it. Okay, so I like the idea of the retreating checkpoint thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. All right.
Like we're retreating, yada yada stuff. We get to the very last point in the raid. Like we're backed up against a canyon wall or something. Can't transmit out. The Queen's brother like comes out of the woodwork, and then
not the
all
whole
of a sudden
thing,
the Queen shows up as well and just
some of the
drops those
like
giant
cool.
orbital giant annihilation things on the Cabal that have been chasing us. And like boom, she's back in the story. That'd be better than Gallahorn,
motherfuckers!
in my opinion. Yeah.
No, she's got year 2 Gallahorn blueprints.
Because the year 2 Gallahorn is actually that giant energy thing that she shoots at the Dreadnought. She's the original Wolfpack rounds.
She is the original Wolfpack.
I'm really excited for a Cabal raid. I'm more excited for a Cabal raid than
I want to see a new race for a raid. It's time to either get... I mean, a legit Fallen raid would be also cool, not this Prison Elders thing. So, either one I'd be happy about.
Yeah, me too. Joe Maiden asks, favorite just mess around Crucible gun? Queenbreaker's bow is mine, he says.
I've really been enjoying the Havoc Pigeon.
That's fun.
Just like running around and like getting like challenging shotguns with it. It's been a lot of fun. You know, I lose like 50% of those fights, but it's still a great feeling to come out alive with the Havoc Pigeon.
My mess around, I really enjoy trying to use an auto rifle.
Yeah, but you have the best one.
Well, I mean, trying to use other auto rifles besides the best one. I've been trying to, get good at the strategies of using auto rifles and not having just that slow time to kill.
Hawkmoon.
Hawkmoon?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now, like, hand cannons suck in the Crucible.
I've used a lot of mess around guns. I find that to be actually fun. One of the most fun ones I've used is Drake's Promise. It's an awful gun.
Oh, God.
But it is super fun. Remember that time, Patrick, that we got matched up against Gathalion?
Gathalion.
And I was using it?
Yeah, and eventually, like, I'm like, yo, Briar, we're kind of losing this series. I'm gonna need you to take off Drake's Promise. I know you need footage for your video, but seriously, we've gone 2 whole games with you only getting 1 kill. Gonna need you to toss on a something. Even Vestian Dynasty would be better.
1 kill in 3 vs 3 means I was holding my own.
1 kill in 3 vs 3 for over 8 rounds.
Not so good.
Not so good. Not so good.
Adel Barajas? I think Barajas. Do you guys like the way Bungie is releasing new content, or do you like the old DLC model? That's a loaded question, because we don't know what the new content is.
Yeah, we're going to need to see another next step in order to form an opinion. I'm going to need to see another next step to form an opinion. If their next release is similar to the Taken King in that style, or is Taken King the old style?
Well, okay, how about we should maybe break it down to year 1 versus year 2 so far. And for me personally, I'd like to know, just have a hint of what's coming for the year. Because a lot of games do this. A lot of games do a season pass and say, there's going to be content. And we don't know exactly what it is, but it's coming. And they did that with year 1. Year 2 feels very ambiguous, and I don't like that feeling right now.
And if I'm reaching out on my limb of what I've, like, in a perfect world, what I would want to see, to be honest with you, I would love to see something like
Your
Forge
mom.
World.
Yeah.
Somebody say your mom.
Maybe.
I don't want to see your mom.
I hope
Brian.
Destiny brings
Thank you, Pope.
your mom into the game. Because, boy, I would like to
that
spec
you could
out that
actually
subclass.
teleport her
You know what
into
I'm
the
saying?
game and she could be a character. What would your mom's superpower be?
Luck in the chamber.
Like it.
Oh, Jesus. Well done. Well done.
I don't even know. Isn't that your dad's? Isn't that your dad's like special power? Luck in the chamber.
All right, Benji Traverse says, with shotguns being nerfed, do you think fusions will become viable, and which ones will you use?
I think Plan C is going to be the one.
Yeah, Plan C, definitely. And I do think fusions are going to be viable. I'm hoping.
Sir.
I have no opinion. I'm always going to use sniper rifles because that's my play style.
I'll probably switch to fusion rifles, to be honest with you, like in some of those close quarters maps.
Fusion rifles are fun. I've said it before. They feel like one of the most unique things about Destiny, especially in PvP. I was really disappointed when they got nerfed as hard as they did and became completely unviable. I'm looking forward to them making a comeback. I don't have the ill will towards shotguns in general that I think the other guys do. I do enjoy using shotguns in the Crucible on close range maps. You know, I think in certain situations it's the right choice and it's fun to use. I don't like the Fellwinter's Lie type of shotgun because I think the range is too long. Even when I'm using one myself, I think the range is too long. I remember the first time I used it, I started laughing because I'd killed a guy from so far away. But I want fusion rifles to make a comeback. I think they're fun to use. I like the delay on them. I like how you have to think tactically to use them correctly. And Plan C was fun before, and I think it'll be fun again.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Plan C by a mile.
Fusion rifles felt completely new to a first-person shooter, and that was cool. Hopefully we'll see new types of stuff like that in Destiny 2, too.
Yeah.
Sidearms came out with House of Wolves, and it's not unreasonable to think we'll get new types of weapons.
Yeah, I do think we'll get new weapon types.
Yeah.
And Destiny 2, yeah.
Personally, I think they could do more work on the light weapons, and there's more variety in there, like like the charge sniper type light weapons, where you can have the what is it called? The one that shoots bounce bullets bounces bullets everywhere. Yeah, hard light. So that type of gun, that shoots, and then you can have that flexibility within there. If you have light, then you don't have to hold up to the archetype of a
telling
bullet.
Me you want lasers?
I want lasers.
Star Wars Battlefront, baby.
I want lasers.
You got lasers.
I want lasers. I know, but I'm saying I want lasers in my that burn through things and.
All right, this is the last question I picked, and I almost chose this one just based on the guy's name. Marcus at Zorelius asks, how do you think new tweaks might bring the Zalo and Suros up in PvP? I think they're going to make him. I think that across the board, the assault rifles are going to be competitive again. I'm hoping that they're not going to be overpowered. I think they're going to be competitive.
I think the Monte Carlo class, so the Zalo, will be borderline overpowered.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that.
Me too.
I genuinely think that. Because
Zalo, do you guys use Zalo a lot? I find that I like it in PvE, but in PvP, the electrical field effect, similar to No Time to Explain, gets in my way of aiming follow-up shots. It's not as bad because it's not a pulse rifle, but it's the
slappy type recoil on it. I just never really liked shooting it. However, Monte Carlo has perfect recoil. It's like just shooting a well-oiled machine, no recoil, and it if that thing gets an 8% damage boost from what it currently has, holy shit, like that thing's going to melt people.
That's my feeling. Like I've said it before, right now the Monte Carlo performs really well in the Crucible environment we have right now. With that 8% bump, it is going to be an amazing auto rifle.
Yep.
And even going not just like the Suros and Monte Carlo type auto rifles either, even like the Doctrine of Passing, the highest rate of fire type, Necrochasm and such, even the 4% buff to that is going to be good, because right now, if you get that God Roll one with max stability counterbalance, it has one of the quickest times to kills I think I've ever seen outside of like 2-tapping someone with Last Word or Hawkmoon. It's so unbelievably quick to just funnel bullets into someone's face and then collect points.
Auto rifles are also intrinsically easier to use because you don't have to worry about, your brain doesn't have to like separate itself with trigger timing. You can just hold the trigger down and just concentrate on your movement and being more evasive and just aiming. You don't have to worry about timing those trigger.
Careful.
Why?
Because I wouldn't. To be honest with you, I think that the play style of using an auto rifle has a support role and has a mid to close range fire suppression weapon that can pick up a lot of assists and do a lot of team shooting capabilities, that paired up with a scout rifle or a close quarters pistol or something else like that can be a lethal combination in team gunplay. So I think it's a play style that's challenging. It's just, you just need to it holds a different spot than you would if you had a pulse rifle or
it just frees up that little bit of brain space though. Even like if you have a pulse rifle that has full auto on it, suddenly it feels easier to use because you don't have to worry about timing the trigger presses. You just have to worry about aiming and being evasive. Whereas without full auto, you have to worry about timing, being evasive, and aiming. It's like it just takes one of those things.
He's not saying it doesn't take skill. He's just saying it's easier to do.
No.
Yeah. I disagree. I think that you're having to aim more bullets to hit headshots to have the same time to kill.
Okay.
So keeping the reticle on point on their head to get the same time to kill as a scout rifle who just has to connect with that headshot twice or 3 times. It's you're putting the shot on target in longer. I don't know.
We can disagree on this. There's no study that's going to prove either one of us right. So
yeah, I'm right and you're wrong. But let's go ahead.
Sure. That was the last question. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about today?
All right, guys. That was the 47th Planet Destiny podcast. I think we had some good discussion this week. I know the 99% and 1% debate thing probably could have gone on for longer, but I just feel like we had to probably end it at some point there.
Yeah, there's just some confusion, we don't want to block people from getting the stuff that they want, but we just think there should be more creative ways to make the raid last longer, because it's not just for us. People say that it's just the YouTubers and the people that quote unquote make their living on this stuff, like if we don't have any content, then we don't have any new stuff to show. And yeah, that's kind of true. Like we want new stuff because it makes our videos cooler, it makes the streams cooler. But it's not just us that want new stuff and want stuff to last longer. I think everyone wants that. I mean, who doesn't want Destiny to last as long as possible? And that's the bottom line. We just want it to last longer, and
we want the entertainment. We enjoy the entertainment.
You don't want it to last too long though, because then you have to consult doctors and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the 47th.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Any longer than 4 hours, and we've had it last 12 hours before Tefty, and that's always a very trying time.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
You're asked to see a doctor if it lasts more than 12 hours.
Oh God.
Yeah, we were exhausted after that session. Woo!
Mm-hmm. So was she.
One person tapped out. We had to add another to the mix after one point there.
Yeah,
he passed out. What are we talking about?
He passed out actually when there was 5,000 people watching.
Literally passed out.
Yeah,
he passed out.
Yeah, when 5,000 people were watching. And it was hard mode.
Oh, yes. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. This is Patrick Casey, Planet Destiny. If you want to find me, Planet Destiny. There you go.
That's a good place. I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me at the Briar Rabbit on Twitter. You can find me on the Briar Rabbit channel on YouTube or streaming for Planet Destiny's Twitch page.
And I am Tefty Teft. You can talk to me at Teft on Twitter. You can catch the streams that I do for Planet Destiny, which is twitch.tv/planet_destiny. And also my personal channel as well, Tefty Teft.
And this has been Pope Bear. You can always find me. I'm hanging out on my Twitter account at Pope Bear, and I'll be streaming occasionally here and there on the Planet Destiny channel.
My name is Ryan. I do editing and stuff like that. I'm behind the scenes.
You do more than editing.
Yeah, I do things here and there.
Ryan does everything.
He does everything. It's like, you literally do everything with Planet Destiny. So
he's the guy behind the curtain.
We all should check out the articles. I think we got a new review up today. We've got the recap from last week, Arms Day. Just check out the articles. I don't really have anything to plug, but thanks for listening.
Well, Ryan, I'll tell you, those articles are extremely helpful. When I was figuring out what Arms Day stuff I should do, I went on our website and checked out the article, and I was like, oh, that helped out a lot.
Yeah, we try to have that weekly stuff that people can look forward to. Trials and Arms Day and Sir and all that good stuff, in addition to the news and analysis and reviews. So, yep. Plus a new site design coming very soon.
Somebody might be wondering if they get responded to on YouTube from Planet Destiny.
Yep, that'd be me. The Twitter and the Facebook and any social media, that's me. So,
all right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Hopefully, PlayStation Experience will offer much content so we can actually talk about new content and not just speculate. See you next week, guys.